Posted by you/anagram soup. My injured and missing cat found me just hours before he died. What I saw was impossible. This might be a little on the long side, but I can't explain what happened rationally. It's worth a read. I am not a spiritual person, nor do I believe in the paranormal. But 3 weeks ago my cat died in my arms. Our bond was remarkable. I found him as a kitten. He was crossing a dangerous country road, so I stopped, opened my door, and he just jumped into my lap and curled up there. I was his. I'm an animal lover and I've had special pets, but Solomon was almost like a familiar to me. We even had our own special language. The week he died, he went missing on a Monday. I knew something bad had happened because he always came to me when I called to him. I searched every inch of my house, the woods and land around the house, and each neighbor's properties for days. I even arranged to bring in search dogs. I'm telling you, if he was out there, I would have found him. I was devastated. Then Wednesday came around. By this time, most of the friends and family members helping me search were exhausted and losing hope. Can't lie, I was too. At dusk, I prepared to turn in, my body ached and my spirit was broken. But I was just so damn restless. So, setting out solo for the first time, I leashed up my dog and decided to walk the property one last time. And that's when he found me. I was losing light when I spotted him out the corner of my eye, sitting on the bank opposite the creek, a place I had already searched a dozen times. I called to him and he looked toward me, almost as if he was searching my face to make sure it was really me before responding, and then literally bolted toward the house. Something was strange about this interaction, but we'll come back to that at the end. So I ran back up to the house, went down to the spot where I had seen him, and searched all around the woods with the light I had left. The entire time, though, I felt pulled toward the cellar, another place I had also searched many times. And in the cellar he was. I knew as soon as I started down the steps. He answered my calls this time. The way he always has. But he was not right. He could not move. It turns out he threw a saddle thrombus, a massive blood clot, cutting off all circulation to his hind legs and tail. Solomon could not walk, let alone move or sprint across acres to make it from his spot by the bank to cellar in just the few minutes between these two encounters. He purred from the moment I picked him up until the very second he threw major clots to his lungs and brain 3 hours later. He died in my arms. My Solomon found me in the beginning and he found me again at the very end. I cannot explain what I saw or how it happened. When I spotted him by the creek, I found it almost impossible to focus on his face, almost as if I was looking at a poor quality recording of him. And, more significantly, his eyes were completely black, not cloudy, his most distinguishing feature, Siamgerlink. Even the vet agrees that there was no way that it would have been physically possible for him to have run from the spot I saw him. I don't understand what this experience was, but I'm starting to believe that he found a way to come back to me as the end was nearing. I will never forget this moment. Posted by you/Luna_lover_. I think a demon saved my life, but I don't know what was in it for them. I had always believed in paranormal activity to some extent growing up, ghosts and demons, but I never believed in curses. I always thought you had to be dead to deal with the supernatural. I was abused regularly as a child and I remember always wanting to know when it would happen next, but I never told anyone. Mostly because I thought they would kill me and wanted to know before. On this particular night I was locked in the garage. I was so tired since I had to stay up for days, but I was without food, so I did my normal routine and snuck out to find food. I often ate bugs. I know, judge me all you want, but they kept me from being hungry. When I went to pick up this specific bug to eat, it bit me instead, so I let it go and went back inside as I'd already eaten a bit and luckily found a sandwich that was trashed. When I got back in, I remember being instantly tired and laying down on the ground falling asleep. I was no more than 6, but remember this vividly. I had woken up but couldn't move and a voice spoke to me. It was a simple question. Do you want help? I wasn't sure what it meant and couldn't move, but the thing approached me instead. It stood over me and asked again. It asked if I was hungry and why I wasn't loved. I didn't know. I stayed in this dreamlike state for a while as the creature asked me questions. After a while I felt myself waking up and it asked me again if I wanted help. It asked me if I wanted to prevent it, so I said yes. When I fully woke up I was starving, which was odd. After a while I thought I dreamt it, and when I checked my hand for a bug bite I didn't have one, so I assumed I dreamt it up and never actually ate last night. A couple of days went by before I was locked without food again and went to eat bugs, dig through the trash, etc. After I ate a certain bug I knew something was wrong. It just didn't taste good and it had a ton of liquid in it. I ignored it until finished my dinner and went back inside, then lived my normal life. Suddenly when things happened I had deja vu. I didn't know what it was at the time, but as time flew by I discovered it, and I'd always think of that dream I had. The abuse never stopped though, not until many years later. There was times I should have died, but I got by just fine. I didn't have to eat bugs much longer though. I was eating leftover or my siblings snuck me food. Fast forward, I recently got in a car crash, and right before, for whatever reason, I leaned to the other side of the car and got a huge sense of deja vu. I knew exactly how it went. I word for word remembered everything the doctor said to me. The car that hit us and the food I got after. In the short, while I was unconscious, that same figure visited me. He said deal made and left. If I hadn't moved I would have been blinded by the glass and my leg would have got jammed by the car. Ever since that I hadn't had any deja vu and feel like a piece of me is missing. Honestly, I'm not sure what the figure got out of it, but I'm sure that was what saved me. I've wanted to find it again, but I'm sure it wouldn't have left if it hadn't gotten what it wanted. I've tried looking into it, but I keep getting it was just a dream and you had a lucky break or thank God, but I feel it was something more. Posted by you/lemonade robot. My friend kept our Nerf fight going months after he died. Last October, my best friend Tanner died unexpectedly due to causes that can't be mentioned due to the sub's rules. I don't need to go into too many details BC, they're not relevant to the story, but it was easily one of the hardest hitting losses I've ever had. He and I shared a very close and special bond and overcame a lot in life together. He had moved in with our mutual friend Beth and her boyfriend several months prior to passing away, so I would constantly come over to hang out with everyone as I lived nearby. One summer day we all had a giant Nerf gun fight together in their front yard. I distinctly remember making eye contact with Tanner and having a strange gut feeling at the time that this was a bittersweet moment, but brushed it off as being sad that summer was coming to a close. I felt uneasy though that he had the same sad, longing look in his eyes that I did. It began to get dark out. After collecting as many darts as we could, we headed inside as Tanner declared this isn't over yet. A month later, after noticing many strange behaviors, Beth and her boyfriend made the heavy decision to call Tanner's mom and have her convince him to go back to rehab. 3 months later, Tanner was dead. I moved out of state since, but always go back to visit Beth when I'm home. One day, after heavy snowfall, I pulled into Beth's driveway. Just as I hopped out of my car, Beth came to the door to greet me. Something yellow popped out against the fresh snowfall, immediately catching both of our attention. We looked down and directly on her front step, perfectly placed in the untouched snow, was a Nerf dart. Well played, buddy. Posted by you/Digital91. Saved from a near-death experience. I want to first apologize in advance as I am writing this on my cell phone and my grammar will suffer due to this. My story starts December 25, 2020. All day as I celebrated Christmas with my wife and our 2 kids, I felt off as if something was wrong. At one point while letting our dog outside, I heard someone say my name outside, and when I turned around I was the only person out there, but this has not been uncommon for me throughout my life. It just happened multiple times this day, which was not normal. As the day progressed I felt more worn down. I carried a few things down to our basement from Christmas and I was whipped. The kids woke us up around 5 a.m. like most 11 and 8-year-olds do on Christmas morning, so we were all tired and ready for bed just after 8 p.m. We all went to bed as we did every night, brushing our teeth, saying prayers and then saying our good night. This is where things take a turn for the worse. At around 3 a.m. I sat straight up out of bed, looked at my wife and asked her why she shook me, and what was wrong. She claimed that she was sleeping and never touched me. I had a severe pain between my shoulders, I was shaking, uncontrollably, and overall very anxious. My wife and I agreed that due to it being early Saturday morning that I could either wait until later in the day to go to the urgent care, or because my back hurt so bad I could go to the ER to get checked out. For other reasons that I will get back to, I decided to go to the hospital. Oddly enough, all the way to the hospital I never got a red light or never saw another vehicle on the road. I arrived to the hospital and they immediately started checking me out, as I was the only person in the waiting room. My pulse and heart rate were slightly elevated but not alarming. Due to my symptoms, the doctor said even though I was only 38 he was going to run some tests including an EKG just to make sure that things were okay. The nurse came on, put the leads on me and said, "Sir, you are having an active heart attack." She pressed a button on the wall and before you knew there was a dozen people in my room with me, from ripping my clothes off me to get me into a gown to placing emergency adhesive paddles on my chest just in case they had to shock me. I do remember someone standing over me and saying, "Don't worry, you are going to be okay, I'm here with you." Not to bore you with the next week's days of basically sitting in a hospital bed, I will tell you that I ended up having one stent placed in the lower left side of my heart. I had blockage in one artery. My cardiologist said that I was lucky, that most people in my situation would have taken Tylenol or aspirin or something, gone back to bed and never woke up. He told me that I survived a widowmaker. Fast forward to 8 weeks later, I returned to work. I work in home care and I see patients in their homes. I had a doctor's order to go see a patient, and when I arrived his wife answered the door. When she greeted me and opened the door, she said, "You've recently been through a traumatic experience." She said that she was a grievance counselor and she could feel the energy around me. She told me that my grandmother was with me the whole time and was watching over me. She died in the 80s. Keep in mind, this is the first time that I had met this woman. She continued to say that my grandma didn't want my family to experience the same grief that her and my mom felt. My grandfather died of a heart attack at age 39. As my eyes swelled and tears ran down my cheeks, I realized who shook me in my bed and woke me, whose voice it was who told me to get up, that something was wrong, and who was standing over me in the emergency department telling me that I would be okay. I was overcome with emotion. I don't know why I deserved this second chance, but it was given to me and I am doing my best to make the best of it. There's obviously more details, but that will be for another day. Disclaimer: I know that this isn't your traditional paranormal story, but for some reason I felt like I needed to share it here. Perhaps someone else needed to hear it. Not all spirits are bad, sometimes we need to remember that. Posted by you/Turtleabob. Sister and I saw our nephew come out of the room he was sleeping in at the time. My toddler nephew's grandma came out of the room saying that she was thankful he had finally fallen asleep so she could use the bathroom, but my sister and I saw him follow her from the bedroom into the hallway and then run up the stairs after her. We both got a sinking, nauseous feeling in our chests the second we saw him, because we could instantly feel that it wasn't him. The energy in the room dropped and our flesh went cold, not like chili from the wind, but the inside of my body felt like ice. Talking about it later, we realized we also felt dizzy and our vision contorted in a very abnormal way that made our heads feel like they were full of television static. It was wearing the same pajamas he was in when he went to sleep, acting similarly to him, just off. Too skittish and uncomfortably playful, but it felt wrong. It did a little hop onto the stairs, then climbed/ran up on its hands and feet like small kids like to do. Things kept very coincidentally blocking its face: a cupboard door, an arm, a door frame. Neither of us saw its face, and we are very thankful for that. It wouldn't have been him. We looked into the bedroom and he was asleep, snoring on the bed. Neither of us cry easily because of fear, but we were both teary and shaking for hours after the fact. We see shadow people and hear unexplained noises, footsteps, banging, doors closing when nobody is home/awake, all the time in this house, but this is the first time multiple people have seen the exact same thing simultaneously. What the hell are we supposed to do now? Posted by you/Yoserina. We sold our haunted house. We sold our house because I think it's haunted. I've written about this before, but in the wrong subreddit, which was deleted. It was titled Bathroom Double Take, where I described a doppelganger-like situation with my husband. So if anyone had read about that experience and is now on this post, this is an update. After a few months of us living in this home, in which we plan to use as our second home, we have decided to sell it after some unusual experiences. Our real estate salesperson and the person who bought our home are aware of my claims and have made an informed decision to purchase this home despite my claims. They probably think I am a nut lol. The home is not an old one. It was built in 2019 and we are the third owners. We have gotten an air quality test done in the home. Both my husband and I have gotten physical examinations and nothing out of the ordinary has come out of these tests. Now I will get into my experience. We bought our winter home last year in June of 2021. Originally we are from Canada, but we have spent the majority of the pandemic between the USA and recently Costa Rica. My first experience was while I was taking a shower. The house has an ensuite washroom. When you enter the room, if you go to the left you will go towards the bathroom, if you go to the right you will end up in the bedroom. From the shower, you can see the entrance to the bedroom. One afternoon while I was showering, I watched my half-naked husband walk into the bedroom with a glass of lemonade. I then turned around to wash the soap off my face and then turned back toward the door to rinse the shampoo out of my hair. This is when I saw my half-naked husband enter the bedroom again with the lemonade. When I exited the shower, I asked my husband if he re-entered the room a couple of times, and he said he only came into the bedroom once and has been there for the majority of my shower. My husband had a similar experience. He was in the backyard looking into the kitchen. He claimed he saw me leave the kitchen and walk towards the mudroom. He was very confused when he entered the house to find it empty, only to find out I had been out for a couple of hours. On multiple occasions, I've heard the sound of my husband's car dragging on the driveway. We have the steepest driveway on the block. Every time he parks in the garage you hear the distinct sound of the bottom of the car scraping the driveway. When I hear this, I usually unlock the garage door. There have been multiple times where I've heard this sound, unlock the door just to find out he isn't home. We've both heard unexplainable whistling sounds that stop once we acknowledge the sound. I guess it could just be the vents, but for 3 days last week our thermostat stopped working and we still heard the whistling. There have been other trivial occurrences. I once woke up in the middle of the night because the fridge door alarm was going off. We have those annoying automatic toilets where the lid lifts when it detects motion. Well, those open on their own sometimes. I understand with modern upgrades there are going to be malfunctioning. So I put those experiences under the questionable category. So we've spent the past week packing our things. We are those psychopaths that do not store anything in our garage other than our vehicles. The only other thing that is found in the garage is the water softener tank, that's it. So one lovely night the car alarm goes off on both vehicles. Convinced that we are being robbed, we call the police, and of course, the neighborhood security also comes by just to see that our cars are perfectly in the garage with no signs of an intruder. We officially moved out of the house 3 days before closing. We could not bear another day there, and our neighbor texted me to ask what all the commotion was at our house. I have no idea what she is talking about because we moved out. I may sound like a kook, but we've lived in so many houses and we've never experienced anything like this. Posted by you/junior_@_7061. I was in a hotel in Dubai when the weirdest thing happened. Felt like I needed to tell this real life story to the reading fellow. This is also my first ever post. This happened during Ramadan in 2017 when me and my family went for a vacation in Dubai. My sister chose the hotel for which we would stay in for a couple of weeks and everything looked decent. I don't really remember the name of the hotel, but it was a 3 to 4 star hotel with good food and amazing service. Now, to the story. The city was beautiful and there was so much to do, but during our stay in Dubai, me and my family were all fasting, and with that, not much could have been explored, but we still made the best out of it. Our second week of the vacation was a casual day of fasting, and breaking of the fast was around the evening. My family wanted to go to the city for the night and have fun, but I wanted nothing less than to chill. I'm not a fan of Dubai's heat, and this heat was killing me. Once they left, I got really bored after some time alone in the room, so I left the hotel and wandered around the area, and I really liked the environment. After some time wandering, I went back to the hotel. Once getting in the hotel and greeting the guy behind the reception, I steadily went for the elevator and pressed number 9 to the hotel room. This is where it gets very weird. On the 9th floor there are 8 hotel rooms and an air freshener on the right side once you get off the elevator, but the air freshener was gone. Thought to myself, okay, they must have taken it away. As I walked to the room, my door key card wouldn't open the door, and after several tries I just gave up and looked around to see if I was at the right floor. Everything, and I mean everything, indicated that I was on the 9th floor. Elevator indication was on 9, all hotel rooms on that floor started with 9, and I remember looking at my hotel room and seeing the correct numbers on the door. That's when I realized that it was too quiet. So very quiet that hearing the very fabric of the carpet I was standing on was the only thing making a sound. I picked up my phone and the last message received was from my sister saying we're at the hotel room half an hour ago, but I had no reception on the phone. I couldn't remember if I once lost reception in the hotel, but it happened just then. At this point I was very confused and somewhat startled, so I started knocking on the door to the hotel room, but nothing. No sound on the other side, no nothing. I started banging and still nothing. I remember our neighbors and how nice they were, so I went for their door to see if someone would answer, and still nothing. No sound. This is where I panicked. I started banging on every door on the 9th floor and I still couldn't get a response. At this point, the only thing moving and making sound was me. I placed my ear on every door. All I could hear was abstinence. I felt so alone and wanted nothing but to get back to my family, and then my dumbass thought of the elevator and sprinted my way to it and pressed ground floor. I made it down and saw the receptionist, and I haven't been so happy to see another human like I was at that moment. Went back to the elevator, but this time I took the one to the right instead of the left like I did before. Press 9, and as soon as I stepped up I saw the air freshener to the right and my neighbor leaving their hotel room while I was making my way to my door. Before using my door key card I heard my family behind that door, and the happiness that struck me was overwhelming to the point that I was about to shed some manly tears. Unlocked it and went straight to bed. English isn't my first language, but I tried explaining to the best of my ability. If this wasn't a switch of dimensions, I don't know what is.